Okay, so for this one, this is mostly a right triangle review. I think almost all of this, if not all of this, is stuff you've seen before. So Pythagorean theorem, do any of y'all remember what that is, that formula?
A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
Plus B squared equals C squared. Now this C here is the hypotenuse. Hypotenuse. And on the triangle, that is the longest side. It's the side across from the 90-degree angle. So this one is the hypotenuse. The A and B, whichever one you put, it doesn't matter which one is which. It's just the two legs. Okay, so the functions sine, cosine, and tangent, and I prefer that you guys call them sine, cosine, and tangent and not sin, cos, and tan. But for sine function, you have opposite over hypotenuse. So let's say our angle is this one up here. So you have the opposite side, if this is A and B, the opposite side would be B over C, right? And then cosine is adjacent. So adjacent means next to, so it's the side that is next to the angle. So the side that is next to the angle in this case is A over hypotenuse C. And then tangent is opposite over adjacent. And so that would be, B over A. I switched it. So opposite over adjacent. Make sense? Cool. Okay, so from there, this is the only part that I don't know if y'all have seen. Have you guys seen secant, cosecant, and cotangent yet?
I don't
think so.
Okay, so it's pretty simple to pick up. So these are called reciprocal identities. So it's going to be 1 over either sine, cosine, or tangent. So that's what it means by reciprocal. So secant, what it means when I say third letter rule in the notes, the third letter of secant is C. And so that tells me that it's 1 over cosine because it starts with the C. So in this case, since cosine was adjacent over hypotenuse, if we do 1 over that, the reciprocal means to flip the fraction. And so this one would become hypotenuse over adjacent. Does that make sense?
Okay. Oh, could you explain that, please?
Yeah, so because it's 1 over cosine, it's a reciprocal, which means a reciprocal is where you flip the fraction. So cosine, so when you have 1 over cosine, cosine was adjacent over hypotenuse. And so now we flip the fraction and we would have hypotenuse over adjacent.
Okay, that makes sense.
So these two things are the same. Okay, so then following the same third letter rule, the third letter here of cosecant is S. So that tells me it's 1 over S or 1 over sine. So in the same idea, you're just going to flip the sine fraction. So this would be hypotenuse over opposite. And then I bet y'all can guess what this one would be, but it's 1 over tan. And you flip the fraction, so this is adjacent over opposite. Cool. And then the last one is inverse functions. I bet y'all have seen these. If not, just let me know. But so an inverse function looks like you have sine inverse of an angle. Have y'all seen that before?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So this is what undoes sine. It's the inverse of sine. So if you need to get rid of the letters sin in an equation, then you use sine inverse. And then you have cosine inverse and tangent inverse. And just, it's a personal preference of mine. I prefer that you call it inverse. I'll know what you're talking about if you say tan -1, but you should call it tangent inverse. Cool. And that was the lesson for today. Would you guys like to see example problems on Delta Math?
Yes, please.
Okay. I'm gonna pause the recording real quick.